Okay, dimensional analysis, right? Look, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. The intention of this problem is for you to practice this technique of dealing with units and letting the units kind of guide you for the operations you're going to do to figure out your answer. So Jacob can fly, and I think that's without the aid of wings. He could just literally just take off and fly 4,414 kilometers per hour with his new polyester superhero suit. Oh, so he has to have the suit on. So the question is, what is his speed in miles per minute? So you can see that we've got this target in mind. I want to end up with this rate miles per minute. And you can see that I'm starting with this rate of kilometers per hour. So let me go ahead and just write down this. There's this 4,415, and these are km per hour. Now, below, I was supplied with a bunch of different giant ones, and let me remind you why these are giant ones. They're giant ones because the thing in the top is equal to the thing in the bottom, right? For example, 60 minutes divided by 1 hour, those are equal amounts of time, right? 1 hour, 60 minutes, they're equal. These ones, like 0.6214 miles, is the same thing as 1 kilometer, or 1 kilometer is the same thing as 0.6214 miles. So they're equal to each other. It turns out the giant one that you pick to use, right, it depends on what you're trying to get rid of. So when I look at the thing that I have, I notice I've got kilometers in my numerator, and I want those kilometers to go away because I want to end up with an answer that's miles per hour. So what I'm going to do is select this giant one, and I'm going to multiply it by exactly what it says. It says I'm going to multiply by 0.6214, and these are now miles, and I'm going to divide that by 1 kilometer. Now again, because this equals 1, right? This is giant 1. I'm not changing the quantity at all. What I'm doing is changing the units. And in fact, if you look, because I now have kilometers in my denominator and kilometers in my numerator, that forms a giant 1. And I can now just say, hey, forget the kilometers. They're now gone, right? Those units, um, they are no more, because if you've got kilometers over kilometers, it becomes a unitless number. So at this point, my answer is in miles per hour. And I know that I need to do some arithmetic with it, but that's just a calculator thing. But I'm not at my full target, right? I want to end up at miles per minute. So I want the miles to cancel out, and I want to be left with minutes. So, um, no, I'm looking at my time. I see that I've got hours in the denominator, and I want to have minutes in the denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this giant one that's got an hour in the top. So I'm going to multiply this by 1 hour in my numerator over 60 minutes. When I do that, you can see now I've got another giant one with hours over hours. So that becomes a dimensionless number there. And if you look, the only units that I have now left are miles in my numerator per minute in the denominator. So this is exactly the units that I want in my answer, right? In fact, let me write that down. I now have miles per minute. The question is, what's the number? Well, the number is not difficult to get, right? All I'm going to do is do a little bit of multiplication here. I'm going to multiply 4415 times 0.6214, and then because this 60 is in the bottom, I'm going to divide by 60. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll just turn on the calculator. I'll leave the table from the last problem. So here's 4415. I'm going to multiply that by 0.6214, and then I'm going to divide it by, it's a 60 in the denominator, divide by 60. And when I do that, I get that our friend Jacob in his new superhero suit, is flying around at the whopping speed of 45.72 miles per hour. Whoa, get back over here. So this is 45.72 miles per hour. So again, we've taken the units of kilometers per hour and we've successfully transformed that into miles per minute, using a bit of dimensional analysis and the idea that you can always multiply by the number 1. And when you do that, you don't change the value, you just change its units.